I can't lie, lately I do think I've been tested as a car enthusiast, and I do think it happens to a lot of car enthusiasts. You know, you get to a point where especially when you own an enthusiast car, you will be tested, to see if you will, stick with the hobby. Being a car enthusiast can be very tiring sometimes. Owning an old enthusiast car, man, it is not for the weak. And not just owning an old enthusiast car, new enthusiast cars. If you own a supercar, I mean, it can really test you at times. The first thing I want to talk about, and I think it's the biggest issue, especially when you first buy your first ever car, and I think this, even if you're not a car enthusiast, a lot of people are shocked by this, but that is car insurance. And I don't really know what it's like in other countries, but here in the UK, it's so expensive. I mean, I can't remember the exact figure that it cost me to, insure my first car, which was just a base model Honda Civic. It was the granny spec Honda Civic, and I'm pretty sure it was $3,000 a year. Some people will probably say it's not that expensive, but trust me, for a high school student at the time, it was crazy. And that's just your first car. A lot of people who, like I said before, who aren't necessarily car enthusiasts will find it shocking to learn, to see how expensive car insurance is. And don't get me wrong, it definitely starts to go down after buying your very first car, but oh my god, when you buy an enthusiast car, does it creep up? Let's say, for example, you buy something like a BMW M4 or M3. Imagine the insurance on that. And now I get it, I am young, I'm in my 20s, so car insurance still is quite expensive for me. But what doesn't make sense about car insurance is there are some cars where you think, wow, you'd really think that the insurance would be a lot more expensive than it is. I'm pretty sure my friend who's just bought a 335i, his insurance is actually, and he's basically the same age as me. I think he's a year older. He could actually be a year younger. I've completely forgot. But his car, which is obviously, a BMW N55 twin turbo. Is the N55 twin turbo? Is the 335i? I know the N54 is twin turbo. But anyway, I digress. His 3-litre turbocharged BMW is cheaper to insure than my MX-5. That doesn't make sense. Now, I probably should look at other insurers, but at the same time, I thought my insurance was pretty cheap. But his is really cheap. So, I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but insurance doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. I think some cars are just cheaper to insure because they're newer, which also, I can't get my head around it. But hey, I guess, it does test you, especially when you're a car enthusiast. You finally buy your dream car, but then you learn you can't even afford to insure it, or it's something ridiculous like that, or insurance is going to cost you an arm and a leg. It's crazy. Sometimes it's crazy, sometimes it's really cheap. It doesn't make sense. Another thing I have to talk about is, and to be honest with you, this will really test you if you buy a car with a slightly bigger engine, and that is MPG, especially when it's in the single digits. I know you guys over in America have a lot of V8s, which, don't get me wrong, I love a V8. If I could, I would daily drive a V8. I just can't afford it because MPG, I mean, fuel over here does tend to be a lot more expensive. I remember when I was out in Florida, and oh my god, fuel in America is so cheap. You guys are so lucky with that. But over here, I think it's just because it's taxed so much, but my god, it is so expensive. And having something like a V8 or a V6 over here is quite rare because obviously it's just so expensive to run. And one of my friends who just bought an E46, and I think it's the 325i. I definitely want to make a video with him on it. But I don't even think the 325i is that bad on fuel, but he complains about it a lot. And I mean, even my car, a Mazda MX-5 isn't exactly a Prius, for a small 4-cylinder car, they are a little bit thirsty on fuel, and I do worry because my next car, I probably will get a 3-litre, I probably will get a 6-cylinder or even an 8-cylinder engine if I can. I mean, let's be honest, it probably will be a 6-cylinder engine, maybe a 240i, I don't know. Let me know what you think I should get, but I definitely do want to get some sort of 6-cylinder car, but I'm not looking forward to paying the extra in fuel. I'm really not looking forward to it. I think especially when you buy your first car, you're so used to having a super economical car, because most first cars are just eco boxes. Like, I can remember my Honda Civic was so good on fuel that I never had to fill that thing up. It was super efficient. I mean, one of my best mates owns a 350Z, and that thing, he's always filling up. I don't know why, but the VQ engine just loves drinking fuel. But yeah, it's so funny. He's always complaining about filling up his car car. I don't know anyone with a V8, but if you guys own a V8, let me know what that's like. I can't even imagine, especially if you're, here living in the UK with a V8. How do you do that? Now, one thing I really have to talk about, and I think it's one of the biggest reasons why people turn away from being a car enthusiast these days, and that is the negative side of the community. Now, I do just want to say, we're not a massive channel, but I do like to think the community for this channel, everyone in the comments is usually super nice, and I think it's a really positive, kind, it's a good community. And online I do see, loads of, a lot of it is positive, but there is a lot of toxicity in the car community, and this it's hard to ignore. And sometimes it's not even online, it's just your friend, or it's someone or you go to a car meet and you interact with these people, and man, they just suck out all of the fun from being a car enthusiast, because the reasons why they are a car enthusiast and how they are with other people in the community is just so negative. I really do think people see it now as just such a numbers game. It's all about brake horsepower, it's all about 0 to 60 time, or you're not a true car enthusiast because your car doesn't do this, or your car's not this. And there's so much gatekeeping that stops new car enthusiasts or people who are interested in the community. They can't even get started. Not to mention the amount of clout seeking there is now. It just seems to get a little bit worse each year with social media. And like I said, I do think the majority of the community is positive. Like, everyone in my comments is usually super nice, but there is the odd negative comment. But the thing is, like I said before, it's not necessarily on social media, it's more what you see in person. I mean, I just don't bother going to car meets anymore, because I would rather go to car shows and speak to older car enthusiasts. I feel like the older car enthusiasts actually understand what car culture should be about. They actually enjoy working on their car, and they're not just in it for the clout or showing off. They actually do love their car. And there are a lot of great young car enthusiasts too. I'm not saying they're a bad young car enthusiast, but so many people in the car community now are just so judgmental, which, I mean, at the end of the day, we all like the same thing, which is just 4 wheels on a piece of metal. Like, realistically, that's what it is. Now, the last thing I have to talk about, and this is a little bit less serious, but it's the fact that modifying or repairing your car can sometimes be very, very expensive. Now, I didn't really want to talk about this because I feel like the other points apart from the community are about, expense and money, but this one's more self-inflicted because, obviously I want to mod my car, but modifications, even on Facebook Marketplace, even secondhand, a lot of modifications are very expensive. And I kind of go through these phases where, I'll have the money to modify my car for a couple of months, and then I'll take 2 or 3 months just completely off. I'll still maintain it, but I will not, I won't modify it for a while, just because it's so expensive. And, obviously when you have to come to repair your car, it can get pretty crazy, especially if you own something German, so, I mean, even my tiny 4-cylinder MX-5 is expensive to repair at times. But this can definitely test you as a car enthusiast, and I think especially as we like to work on it ourselves, man, it can be frustrating. Even doing mods, fitting mods can be it can be so infuriating at times. I'm about to put lowering springs on my car, so please wish me luck. I've never done it before, so I'm hoping it goes well, but man, it's one of them things where I just think I'm going to be pulling my hair out by the end of it. But hopefully it should, massively transform the car. Hopefully into like Optimus Prime or something. That's a really bad joke. Anyway, look, if you did enjoy the video, please feel free to subscribe. You can always unsubscribe at any time. And yeah, I'll catch you in the next one. Ciao for now.